You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hi, and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Sands, and today I have Erika Bragdon of Living Well Mom. Erika is a health blogger, and she's also a busy mom who concentrates on living her life more simply, more naturally, and most of all, more joyfully. Erika loves to empower other women to do the same. She lives in New Hampshire with her husband, 4 children, a dog, a cat, rabbits, and 26 chickens, so Erika has her hands full, but she still is committed to living healthfully. So Erika, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit.
Thanks, Michelle. It's wonderful to be here.
Awesome. So you seem to have your hands full. You have 4 children, and you have all the animals and a husband. So how do you stay on track with being healthy when you have all of that going on?
You know, it's all about prioritizing. I've had a lot of health issues myself, and it just kind of came down to I have to live healthy or I'm going to pay for it in other ways. And it's the same thing with my children. My oldest, Nathan, he's almost 13, and he has high-functioning autism. So we have him on a very specific diet, and it definitely can be challenging, but it's made such a difference in his life and in our overall family life, you know, that it's just worth it. And so we make it happen.
So have you always been into health and fitness, like as a child and growing up as a teen and in your 20s? Were you always like really fit and really healthy?
No, I was not. I always had it in the back of my mind that, you know, I like more natural things. You know, I remember when I was a kid, my dad had this chart on his wall that was all about like different vitamins and minerals and the different advantages of, you know, things they would help you out with. And it just fascinated me. And he always just had that kind of a mindset, you know, of just trying, you know, doing something more naturally first before going a conventional route. And, you know, I've always kind of followed that, but no, I can't say that I've always lived healthfully. And, you know, I've had a lot of, as I said before, health challenges. You know, I've actually really for the past 9 years, I've had chronic health issues.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had depression, anxiety, thyroid problems, leaky gut, chronic fatigue, low energy. It's been tough, and definitely even now I've improved so much, but I'm definitely not like super fit right now. It's something that I'm working on, and you know, that's one of my things that I've realized has helped me so much is, you know, instead of, you know, beating myself up for where I'm not at, I need to give myself credit for where I am, how far I've come, and the things that I'm doing. The little things, they really count.
That is such a powerful message, and that's kind of like almost the overwhelming theme of the summit is, you know, for women to understand that like no moms are perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody listening is perfect, but we all try to be. You know, we all think that like we need to do it all. We need to be the perfect mom and the perfect wife and the perfect career person and, you know, humanitarian and all of these things. But and because you look at other women who aren't sharing their stories and they look like they're doing it all perfectly, right? Like you see them and they have their hair done and their kids are all clean and pretty and you don't realize what's going on at home. But I'm so happy that there's women like you who will share their story and encourage other women to, no matter where they're at, to take those steps to get to be a little bit better and a little bit better than that and eventually, you know, feeling good. Awesome.
Absolutely.
So you actually started Living Well Mom to help other women kind of encourage them to take steps that you're taking as well, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
when did you start that?
So I've been blogging for about 8 years. But Living Well Mom, I rebranded. So my site used to be called Musings from a Stay-at-Home Mom.
Oh, okay.
And I rebranded to Living Well Mom recently in October because before it was just, you know, I shared a lot of parenting stuff and mom stuff. And I still continue to do that. That's still a central theme on Living Well Mom. But I just felt like my life, my perspective has changed. You know, I want to live my life well. and not just to get by, not to just survive, but I want to have a great life. I want to live and enjoy my life today instead of always wishing for tomorrow.
Awesome. So what are some of the steps that you have taken to ensure that's going to happen?
Well, there's a variety of things when it comes to health. I think one of my biggest things is I have just continued to push forward. I've had a lot of dead ends with doctors, and, they're saying, oh, you're fine, you're tired, you have 4 kids, of course you're tired. And it's like, well, yes and no, like this just doesn't feel normal tired. And so I've just really had to continue to advocate for myself, to push and find people and doctors who are going to listen and help me out. And a couple of years ago, I discovered that I have had thyroid issues. And so that really helped a lot in getting better, but not all the way. And so I continued pushing and, trying to find answers. And I found a really great doctor this past fall who he just kind of went to all the basics. He's a naturopath, and he just really had me do lab work and testing just to get to the bottom of me, not just what other people typically are. And that's when we found out that I have leaky gut and a lot of food sensitivities. So he basically took me off of my diet, which it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either.
Right.
And he put me on the paleo diet, and I've been on paleo since September, and it's really turned my life around. I have a lot more energy. I can think more clearly, and I felt so much better. And I know I'm not where I'm going to be. I'm still on that journey, so I'm just really excited to see where I'm going to go.
Well, it's a huge effort on your part to not give up, especially when you're feeling so horrible, and to keep fighting and keep searching. And I'm so glad that you found a naturopathic doctor to, run the labs and actually look inside of you and see what's going on inside your body, and not just label you with a condition, or
right,
that it's okay, because it's not okay if you don't feel awesome, right? So
exactly.
So I really think that you can totally be a role model for moms as far as not giving up, not settling for just getting by, not only for themselves, but also for their children. So today we're discussing healthy living with baby steps. For those moms who are listening that maybe you haven't been on the path of eating so healthy, or you're not making exercise a priority, or sleep's not so good. So those moms who are wanting to put their foot in the water now and start living healthier, maybe inspired by your story, what are some baby steps that they can take to start making those changes in their lives?
There's a whole lot of things that women can take, moms can take, no matter where you're at in life, whether you have, a newborn where you're not sleeping well, or you have teenagers who you just want to pull your hair out. There's so many things that we all can do. And I think the first step really is to just kind of prioritize and figure out what is going to be most important for you. What is the biggest issue in your life? Maybe you want to really lose weight, and that's just become a huge problem for you. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have chronic health issues like me. Mm-hmm. Maybe your children have health issues like my son who has autism. It could just be that you're exhausted, and it's not necessarily a health issue, but maybe you're not getting enough sleep at night. Mm-hmm. Maybe you just want to eat healthier. And so each of these things, if you can identify what's the biggest issue for you, then you can start to kind of come up with a plan for how to get healthier.
Okay, so don't try to do it all at once. Just pick one.
Exactly, right.
Small,
because,
awesome.
How many times, it's January, how many of us have said every January 1st, okay, my resolution is to lose more weight, or it's to get healthy this year. And then how many of us, I would bet just as many of us, fail that probably within the first week or two.
I agree, and I think it's so right what you're saying about picking one thing, because I notice with my clients and my friends that the New Year's resolutions are always kind of extreme. They go from having the standard American diet and watching TV to, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to not eat any sugar. I'm going to a full-blown paleo. I am going to sleep at 8 o'clock every night. And those things are kind of unrealistic when you're switching so extreme.
Right.
However, if they would have, like you suggest, said, I'm going to cut down on my processed food, they would probably succeed because that's not so overwhelming to do. So that's an awesome tip. So what was the thing that you just started with first?
Oh, that's hard to say because it's been a while.
It's been really long, right? Yeah. So
yeah, it has been a while. I think that one of the biggest things that we started doing, mainly to help my son, was we started cutting out processed foods. We started cutting out high fructose corn syrup, the different dyes that you'd find in, things like Cheetos or, peppermint ice cream, just things like that. And because we discovered that he actually would have reactions after he would eat something, we cut that out. And I remember one time, I think it was maybe his 10th birthday, and my husband took him out, and they went out to breakfast, and he came home, and Nathan had an orange soda. And I'm looking at my husband, and I'm like, Nate, like, this is everything he's not supposed to be eating. And my husband's like, oh, it's his birthday, it's okay. And so I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, fine, but I'm not going to say I told you so.
Yeah, so it's the chemicals. It's the non, because it's not real food, right? When you're eating those processed packaged things. And I the body can't recognize those foods, and they are sometimes toxins. And a lot of times in the processed foods, you don't really know what they're using in them when they, they're very vague on the labels, natural, artificial flavoring. That could be anything. So I think that's huge. That could be a great first step for everybody to eliminate the processed packaged foods.
Exactly. And even before that, do some research. Educate yourself. Because there's, like you said, the labels are really not that clear nowadays. And it can be so confusing. You see something that's like, oh, this is all natural. Well, what does that actually mean? Is it actually all natural? And I think people go, oh, okay, and they grab that thinking that they're eating healthy, and they're not actually. They don't really know what they're getting. So
yeah, it's unfortunate that anything it says on the front of the package, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt and flip it over and look at the ingredients. So I really feel it's really deceptive, and I really feel bad for the people who don't do the research and they're not educated in this because they really think they're making good choices.
Yeah, it's sad, and they just don't realize it. It's really almost deceptive how the labels are nowadays. But we can do something about it. Like you said, we can look at the labels, or the nutritional facts and the ingredients, and learn about that. And one thing that my children right now, they're on a restricted diet as well, because we found out not only my oldest son, but all 4 of my children have varying levels of food sensitivities, including dairy, corn, gluten, wheat, soy. And so we basically, some of them had some and, not the others, but we basically said, okay, we're just going to cut all of this out because I'm not going to drive myself insane and try and have each child on an individual diet.
So I know moms right now, when you just said that, are probably like, well, what do they eat? What do you feed your children? So what is an example of some of the things that they eat now that they can't eat any of those, common foods that kids eat?
Yeah. So like for today, their breakfast was, they had eggs. We have chickens, as you read in my bio.
Right.
Yep.
So
we have fresh eggs. Yep, and we love that. So we have our eggs, and that's what I eat every morning for breakfast. My kids will have oatmeal. They have we buy the gluten-free oatmeal, so they'll do that sometimes. And then lunch, like today, I made this homemade graham cracker. So it's completely paleo recipe, and just a little bit of honey for sweetener. And we did that with some all-natural peanut butter.
Wow! So do you have that recipe on your website? Do you have the graham cracker recipe on your website?
I do not. So that's one that I'm working on. I found a variation online, and so I'm working on tweaking it a little bit. So it's something I am hoping to get up to, because it's just my kids love it.
There. I really think that that's another awesome thing. When I started, putting the summit together and reaching out to all the mommy bloggers, you guys are awesome resources for trying to, work around some of these parameters when you can't have the corn, the soy, the gluten. But you guys have the best, most creative recipes, because I'm a naturopathic doctor, so I have the science, but I don't have those recipes, so I always recommend them to my clients and my friends. So, it's a great resource. Check out the mommy bloggers.
Yeah, thanks. Well, this was my first holiday season that we've been on this really restrictive diet. Like, as we talked about, we've gradually, my family, we've made changes slowly, but this year it's definitely been restricted. And so I was like, okay, well, we're still going to have a great Thanksgiving and a great Christmas. And
Right.
I basically went online between some of my own recipes and, a whole bunch of other blogs that I got recipes from. And I basically recreated all of our traditional Thanksgiving and Christmas dishes, just making them paleo style.
That's awesome.
And it was just fantastic. And my husband even kind of looked at me and he's like, wow, I can't believe you could do this. And it's like, the resources are amazing.
And it's being creative like that, it takes away the feeling of being deprived, the feeling of having like, oh, I have to be on this restricted diet, instead of looking at it like you guys kind of look at it like, I get to be on this diet so I can feel awesome. And
exactly.
These items are food, and the rest of the items aren't food for you guys. It's more like poison, right? So that's huge. I mean, just being creative and using your resources to make it work for your family. I like that a lot. And I can't wait to see when you put up the graham cracker recipe. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Well, I actually just put up yesterday a recipe for homemade hot cocoa, and it's paleo, it's healthy, and it's specifically for kids because it's very simple, and my kids just love it. And in fact, my oldest son said, Mom, this tastes just as good as the store-bought stuff. And no, I actually think it tastes better. And you know how kids are, like the processed stuff is like crack for kids. They just love it. So if one of my things tastes as good as the store-bought for the kids, that's kind of a compliment,
That's maybe the highest compliment there is. But
right?
Do you feel that once you get your kids off of all the processed stuff, their taste buds get more used to eating the natural foods that aren't like hyper flavored with all this fake stuff?
And yeah.
I think that they start to actually not crave those other things anymore because they just don't taste like food to them anymore.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my kids, I can't keep enough carrots in the house because they're always just like helping themselves to carrots. And like my daughter has a reputation at her school. I got a note from one of the teachers about one of my other kids, and she was like, "Oh, say hi to your daughter for me." And she's at a new school because she's moved up now, and they were like, "Oh, I miss her with her carrots every day."
Oh, how adorable! Well, they're going to grow up to be healthy adults. So that is not only important for like when they're children and they're developing, but now they're going to grow up to be healthy, well-adjusted adults, which is huge. And they don't have to struggle with the things that you're struggling with right now.
Right. That's my goal. I really, really hope so. And, given that my kids have already had some of the food sensitivities, and, you look at so many kids nowadays, it seems like every other kid is being labeled with ADHD or autism or, some sort of a learning disorder or a mood disorder. And, there's some kind of a common link between all of that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really trace it back to the food.
Yeah. Because food is everything. That's what we're putting into our bodies all the time. And as my doctor very wisely told me, he said, you know what, our human bodies they're resilient. Our bodies put up with so much, but we have our limits,
exactly.
And it's just like a car. If you're putting the wrong kind of fuel in a car repeatedly, it's going to start sputtering out and having issues.
Exactly.
And our bodies are going to do the same thing. So it's so important that we eat healthy. But again, though, to go back to the baby steps, we don't want to overwhelm ourselves. And if, we're trying to jump into a paleo diet, and because it is a lot of work, I'm not going to lie to you, it can be, it can be overwhelming sometimes. And, that's where we have to look at what we can do now. Because if you're doing paleo, but you're completely stressing yourself out, that's not healthy either.
Right. That's correct. Yes.
So the bottom line is that, we need to give ourselves credit for what we're doing. And yes, we need to continue pressing forward. But, baby steps. Because if we try to make those huge jumps and that's at the expense of our sanity or our happiness, that's not going to be good for anyone, including our families and ourselves.
Yes, that's so true. I think, the stress causes inflammation and dysfunction in the body almost as much as the food does. So you're so right there. So would you say like maybe start with replacing a few of your processed food items with like a paleo style homemade item and start there, like gradually incorporate more
Yeah,
and more?
or not even a paleo style. I mean, if you can, that's great. But I think for a lot of people that can be a little, oh no, I don't. But just the name of that can be kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, just real
you
whole
know,
food, I guess.
right? Yeah. So or make your homemade version of something. There's so many things like the hot cocoa recipe. You don't
Yeah.
have to be paleo at all to make that recipe. You can make that homemade hot cocoa recipe for your kids, give it to them. They probably won't know any differently, and you can know that you're giving them something healthier, where you compare that to like the store-bought hot cocoa, and that stuff has high fructose corn syrup and so many ingredients, and I can't even,
Yeah.
say the names of half of them. It's a little bit scary.
Exactly. And with science now, we do know that these chemicals in the food do cause dysfunction in the body, whether it be behavioral or, thyroid or endocrine. There's something happening when your body's overloaded with it. Because you're right, we are resilient and we do have great detoxification systems, but if we're constantly bombarding it, then it's going to stop working eventually.
Right.
So awesome. This
Right.
has been really great. You have so much information on your site and just so many great tips. So I know that you're giving also a little free gift for our listeners so that they can dig in more to some simple strategies that they can use.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
It's just a short ebook that I've just released. It's called Less Stress, More Joy, 10 Simple Strategies for Busy Moms. And it's basically just simple tips that will help you take back your life from, crazy, never-ending to-do lists and, running every which direction. You can take back your life and find that joy again and let go of the things that don't matter.
Awesome. Well, Erika, it's been so great talking to you today. I could just sense your passion for what you're doing and how important it is in your life and just how it's changed your life. And now I can hear that you are happy in your voice. So that's awesome. And
Thanks, Michelle. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
That you can open up and share with the moms because, for everyone listening, think about your own story and just know that there's people out there that are going through very similar things and we're working together and Erika's out there. She's online on livingwellmom.com. You can reach out to her. You can look on what she's doing and, start helping.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.